Why did Khalil Mack have to get traded, Peter?
It's question of the year in the NFL. In my opinion, I think it's one of the crazier things I've seen in recent years covering the NFL. I think you draft players to develop them into Khalil Mack on and off the field. This is a guy who is a great example, a great leader, and a great football player. Pro Football Focus metrics say that in the last 2 years, his 175 quarterback disruptions, sacks, hits, pressures of the quarterback is far and away better than any pass rusher in football. So he's 27 years old. He's due to get paid. And I'm shocked that the Raiders basically threw their hands in the air and said, nothing we can do about it. We can't pay him. We're not going to pay two guys big money on our team. So they got rid of him. And as I explained in my column, if the salary cap continues on the path that it has been on over the last 5 years, there's no guarantee, but if it does continue on that path, then over the next 6 years, over the next 7 years, rather, Khalil Mack will take up 10.7% of his team's salary cap with this new contract. Now, if you develop a big, big star on your team and you decide that he's not worth 1/10 of your cap, I think you need to get into another line of business.
Well, and then factor in what a franchise-paid quarterback would make. I mean, so that would be two players. Maybe if they take up 25% of your cap, you should still be able to put enough.
It's not going to quite be 25,
so
but it's going to be probably about 23. But I agree with you, Rich. I think you can look at a lot of Super Bowl champions since the beginning of the salary cap era, and you can look at these Super Bowl championship teams and find many who the top two players on their team have taken up 1/4 of their cap. And in my opinion, to use that as an excuse to not sign Khalil Mack, especially with the Raiders' grim history of high draft choices, I don't understand what they're doing.
So then what the hell happened, Peter? I mean, Gruden knows football. I mean, and look, it's no surprise that Gruden would come in and remake the roster in his own way. I mean, that's what he's done everywhere, and it's no surprise that he's rid himself of every other quarterback not named Carr and traded for A.J. McCarron. I mean, that's as Gruden-y a move as there is. So that's not a surprise. But why couldn't this happen? I don't understand. Was this a power play for Gruden to say he's the man? I mean, that makes no sense. I mean, what is it?
Power play. I think it was Gruden's, but Gruden clearly is behind this, and Gruden believes that I'm not going to pay a guy who, and they'll probably come up with alternate numbers to my 10.7%, but I'm not going to pay a guy 1/6 or 1/7 of our salary cap. It's just way too much. I'm going to pay a quarterback. And I'm not really going to pay anybody else. We're going to pay him, but we're not going to pay him to the level that Mack wants. I think two things are curious about this, Rich. We've all heard the rumors. The Raiders are cash poor, and which I really do not buy. And when I was at camp, I asked a couple of people there who I thought would know, and they said, no, we can make this deal. We can do this. I think Mark Davis or Reggie McKenzie, somebody has to come out and say that this was not we could have made this deal. We had the cash to make this deal if we wanted to. We just didn't want to. I think that's number one. And I think number two, in my opinion, I just think it is disingenuous to say that you can't pay two players this much money and then expect to be able to field a competitive team. Then trade all of your ones, okay, and get a bunch of 2s and 3s, so you can keep players on the path of paying them, but not paying them like superstars. I don't think the Raiders have been fully transparent in this deal.
Well, last one for you on this, Peter King, is that That this is why they're paying Gruden the big bucks. That he is making $10 million more guaranteed dollars over the life of his contract than they were willing to give Khalil Mack in a shorter period of time, and that now he's got to sell this to a veteran-laden locker room, and still get more free agents to come here, and tell kids who he drafts that we will pay you if you do everything right. I mean, he still has to do this.
Yeah, there's no player right now, in my opinion, who's under more pressure. There are some players who are under as much, but there's no player who's under more pressure right now going into this season than Derek Carr, because the Raiders already had a subpar defense, and now far and away the best player on defense is gone. That means that Derek Carr is going to have to put up 30 points a game on average this season for the Raiders to have a chance, in my opinion, to make the playoffs. I mean, what are you saying to your team? And look, Derek Carr came back with hey, we gotta get together. We got a big season coming up, and blah blah blah. Whatever he said on Twitter, his first tweet was a lot more indicative of what he truly feels, which is no way.
That's right.
As was Bruce Irvin.
Well, we can't say that one on the air.
No blanking way. And so I look at it, and I just say, you're absolutely right, Rich. This is not going to be a good year for the Raiders, number one. And number two, in the off season, when you try to make free agents come, I don't know how you're going to do that.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.